this thing hitting me in the head?
That's me.
There we go. We got to swap.
You got to switch.
Yeah, I'll switch.
Okay, you switch.
Check your name, please. For the cameras. This is Sean.
Okay, great, thank you.
Want to share my Sharpie too?
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Present.
Councilor Fascio,
Present.
Councilman Waldron,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Present.
Councilman Crustis,
Present.
May I get a motion for item 3?
Mayor,
Yes, Council Fascio.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 18th, 2023, December 29th, 2023, and January 2nd, 2024 meetings.
Thank you. May I get a second?
A second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Fascio,
Yes.
Councilman Waldron,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Crustis,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Okay, minutes approved.
May I get a motion for item number 4?
Mayor, I'll make
Yes,
a motion
yeah.
to ratify the expenditures as outlined below on the agenda.
Pardon me?
Make a motion to ratify the expenditures as outlined below.
Yes, Councilman Carestas.
Yes. Oh, I need to read the total? Okay. Each line item or the grand total? Okay. So we have $0 in journal entries this evening. CD requisitions are $62,044.75. And our checks are $719,441.21 for a total of $781,485.96.
Thank you. May I get a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Waldron,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Crustis,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilor Fascio,
Yes.
expenses approved. Next on the agenda is the portion dedicated to public comment on non-agenda items for residents that signed up at least a week in advance. When I call your name, please approach the podium, and for the record, if you could please say your name and address. And comment is limited to 3 minutes. Greg Swachik.
Sure.
Greg Swachik, 648 Gramick Lane. I have 10 things to touch on real quick, so I'm going to go fast. You're probably more familiar with this than the public, but I only have 3 minutes. The first page that I gave you is last month's agenda, where you can see that there's a discrepancy with the other side of the sheet regarding the appointment of municipal engineer. I made some notes on there of concern. You can read them at your leisure, but I did ask Mr. Minsterman, Blackwell, the manager, Councilwoman Fascio. I heard her say she heard the same from a few people, and the magistrate that was here. I don't know why there's a discrepancy. We always, pride our departments in doing a good job and being professional. But Mayor, what concerns me is, you could amend the agenda as a function of who's in the audience. It's within your power to do so. I'm not suggesting you had that in mind as an option. But, when you did comment when Sarah Kuhn was mayor regarding her work on cars, you said it's the appearance of impropriety, not necessarily you're accusing her of anything. So I would just say that, we do our due diligence to check things, and we shouldn't really have that happen where it's open to ambiguous misinterpretation or whatnot. So I'll just leave that there. The second page went through the zoning hearing board. It was denied. But what it brings to attention for me, I used to play over in that area as a child. There's a cliff along Rodi Road. There's steep grade there. I'm sure there's grading permits that were issued or ought to be issued or reviewed. I checked with a few neighbors over there. There's no children in the area, but grandchildren come over and play. And, rambunctious children running around, losing track of where they are. God forbid they'd fall over that steep hill there. So maybe somebody wants to look into that. And then on the back is something that's coming up after the zoning hearing board this week. It's a revisit of the soccer field parcel. And it's going to be now a pickleball court proposed. It's going from private to public classification. And I just want to make a note, you were not a mayor for super long, but during that meeting you never did allow, the record would show, public comments. You were talking remote. The last thing Chris was cautioning you, how many truckloads it's going to take, and then you jumped right to vote. So maybe this time we can have public comments.
I'm sorry, Greg, that's the end of the 3 minutes, so you have to conclude now. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll conclude with I'll give you a letter to go on next month and do the other 7 things. They're not timely, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I get I motion for item 6, 6A.
Mayor, I make a
Yes, yeah,
I
I'm
make a
sorry.
motion.
I'm
that-
sorry,
Oh.
just, this is our, for anybody that isn't aware, this is our first meeting together. And it may seem very formal, but we're making a record here. So what happens is, I'll ask for a motion. One of the council members will say that they will give it, and then I'll call you by name just so that, because we all know you, but in the future, if somebody needs to see it, or if somebody wants to look at the record, they'll know exactly which council member is making it. So thank you so much. Yes, Councilman Waldron.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-1, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for the acceptance of the $800,000 federal earmark for rehabilitation of Old William Penn Highway.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any public comment?
I'm sorry.
Greg Swatchik, 648 Gramick Lane. My comments sort of are what his is. I just heard him trying to identify the defined interval of activity. I was going to go there and suggest, that's the Frank Pecora Memorial Highway as tagged and labeled recently. If you're approaching Monroeville from the sign near Jefferson Heights, very quickly you'll run over a very extreme undulation of the pavement. And thank God our Public Works Department realized that predicament that we were in, maybe didn't have the money right away. It's probably a year late of what I was told there'd be, maybe core drillings and a geotechnical investigation to remedy that. But it's good we're getting to it. So all I wanted to do is ensure that, as far as a work scope goes, the first monies ought to target the restoration of the, a proper gradual pavement continuity there. Anything else would be not superficial, but more cosmetic to the overall project. So I think it would be a priority. It probably is if there's logical engineers earmarking the money for, in a priority basis. But that could be expensive to get proper foundation underneath that pavement. But that's all I had on that. Thank you.
Felix Catlin, 223 Detour Drive. As usual, it's usually a question. On the agenda, it states that it's a federal earmark for rehabilitation, et cetera, on both A and B. Are these indeed American Rescue Plan monies?
This is not American
Okay.
Rescue funds.
What is the
This
source, may I ask?
These are federal earmarks. These
Okay.
were from our Congress, our former congressman and our current
Yeah,
congressman
I know.
who procured that money.
Yeah.
But it wasn't part of our American Rescue Fund
Okay,
dollars.
thank you.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council?
Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Fascio.
I would be interested, we've been hearing about this roadway for a while now. And kind of if staff, Scott or Chris, could speak to what the current condition is and at least what any preliminary plans are.
I'd be happy to answer, Councilwoman. Obviously, anybody that travels on Old William Penn Highway knows what the landslide is. You can't miss it if you're on it. And that's been an issue ongoing for some time. Up until recently, it's been a question how that was going to be paid for in order to fix that. Fortunately, now we have this money. We're in the beginning stages of developing what the answer to that's going to be. Right now, I think we're at this stage where there's some core samplings and some boring that's going to take place, as a matter of fact. And I think that what that shows and what those borings actually mean then will play a big role in how that is solved in terms of not only mitigating it, but so it doesn't happen again, because obviously the land is shifting under it. So it's not designed yet, but at this point, we're being asked to accept formally the funding for it, and then we could go ahead and move forward on a design and figure out how far that money might go into ending that, into solving that. But it's not designed yet.
Thank you.
Any further comment from council? So, anybody those of you that come here repeatedly know that I look at it like my household budget. This is something, Old William Penn Highway has been in very, very bad shape for a long time. It's kind of like having a really bad roof on your house and going, where are we going to get the money to fix it? Finally, the money came through. This is kind of like maybe our old aunt died and we just inherited money. So this has been a long, long time. This money was granted to us, and it took a long time. It's been in the pipeline, and finally it's here. It's like the check just came in the mail today. So we have got to absolutely accept this, because we've got to fix that highway, and we finally have the funding for it. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilor Fascio,
Yes.
Councilman Waldron.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-1 approved.
May I get a motion for item 6B?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Carestas.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 6B, approving the authorization of the execution of an agreement with Penn for the acceptance of $800,000 in federal earmarks for the rehabilitation of Rhode Road.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I second.
Thank you. May I, any public comment? Any comment from council? So this is another chunk of money that we have long wanted, and it was granted to us through our congressman. It was in the pipeline. We knew it was coming, just didn't know when it was coming. This is another, frankly, just, like an inheritance, because this is, when you look at both these projects, actually, Old William Penn and the earmark for the rehabilitation of Rhode Island Road, these aren't projects that are just pretty, although they certainly will be pretty. These are projects that literally, and I'm not being melodramatic here, these are really a matter of life and death. When you take a look at the Old William Penn Highway, that is a landslide waiting to happen. For us, that's our Fern Hollow Bridge that happened. You remember the bridge that collapsed that growing up, many of us didn't even know that was a bridge. And whenever you take a look at Rhode Island Road, we've done sidewalks up at the senior center, coming from the senior center, it's the intersection where it's Jefferson and Universal that comes down to Rhode Island Road. If any of you have ever walked that, I'm guessing that some of you who have walked that, I know that I look out in the crowd and there are many of you in this group, in this room tonight that I've walked with you when we do a litter pickup. We're walking that road by choice. But there are seniors and there are disabled individuals that live up in that high rise. There are people on, I'll call them scooters, the motorized wheelchairs. They're not walking by choice. They don't have a vehicle. It's literally crossing that road to get to Giant Eagle or to get to that shopping center to go to the dollar store. These projects are not just because we want to, certainly beautification efforts are important, but these are literally for the safety of our residents. It's critical that we're blessed to have this money here, and it's critical that we accept it. Roll call, please.
Councilman Crestus?
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese?
Yes.
Councilor Fascio?
Yes.
Councilman Waldron?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp?
Yes.
Resolution 2 approved.
May I get a motion for item 6C?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Fascio.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-3, authorizing the proper municipal officials to enter into a mutual aid agreement with the Borough of Verona for mutual police aid and assistance.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment?
Felix Catlin again, 223 Detour Drive. I might not have a mic. I'm sure you can hear me. We will need a definition of aid and assistance, please. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sure. Just as a general explanation, this agreement before council tonight, it's the same agreement that's in place at our Council of Governments that exists with all of the municipalities in the eastern suburb. But more to your point about what's considered aid, the agreement covers any law enforcement activity for which aid is requested. So under the terms of the agreement, the borough has to request our aid, whatever it happens to be, and our participation is not compulsory. It's voluntary if we want to render the aid. But it's if you read the agreement, it covers all law enforcement activities. So it's going to be based on their need. That they have to request aid from the municipality. And so that it's going to be determinative based on whatever the events happen to be, but it's probably manpower more than likely.
May I ask one more question from the seat? Would it also entail spontaneous decisions in an emergency situation, or is this something that will be planned out ahead of time with regard to our aid?
That requires a nuanced answer. I mean, what I would say is this. All of the communities in the eastern region that belong to the COG all share the same mutual aid agreement. And that, how does that come about? It comes about in an event that one community can't meet its need. Perhaps there's something going on in one community. Maybe it's an event, or maybe it's a situation where they have to call in outside resources, perhaps. Maybe there's a staffing issue, as it may be. So the mutual aid agreements are general in the sense that they can cover any number of exigent circumstances. But the aid is not planned in the sense that one community is going to necessarily be a first response. I mean, so in those situations is a contracted service or perhaps some other model. But this is simply allowing Penn Hills to be the neighbor it's always been to Verona, and vice versa, because it's mutual aid. It's another thing to keep in mind. It works mutually. It's not just all one way. So it allows us to be the same neighbor we've always been to Verona, and if and when they need our assistance, when it's rendered, this then sort of is the guidelines for what controls that relationship once they're there in terms of responsibilities. Does that answer the question?
Mayor, may I add on to that?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Just so everybody's aware,
I'm sorry, will you please use your microphone? So I don't think they're picking it up on the...
just so everybody's aware, it's very, very common in this area for one police department to back up another police department as needed. You see it all the time in the Allegheny Valley. Every one of those departments back up the other department, and other areas where usually one department is smaller than the other, or may need more assistance here and there. That's all this does. There's no legality to it. There's no contractual relationship. It's something that was occurring anyway. It's just putting it in writing. We learned that there is no writing between the Borough of Verona and the municipality of Penn Hills. As Manager Andrachik said, the Turtle Creek COG a number of years ago implemented a policy or a procedure where their member communities could have these mutual aid agreements. So it sets forth the terms in writing of what that assistance may be or what that aid may be, whatever the case may be. And Verona doesn't belong to the Turtle Creek COG. They belong to the Upper Allegheny Council of Governments, and this process never trickled down there. And now that I've learned that they don't, I'm going to introduce it down into that COG as well. But it just makes sense that two communities that are providing mutual aid to each other anyway should have a writing.
Any further comment from the public?
Bill Mouch, 1335 Maple Avenue. I think this is a fantastic idea that we're helping our neighbors. Okay, the only worry I have is, will we end up patrolling their area on a daily basis? And if so, will we increase our police activity? In other words, put more people on the force on an hourly rate or whatever. And then the other thing is, I wonder, would this lead in the long term, looking at the long picture, of Verona and Penn Hills joining into one municipality, becoming one together? That one maybe makes sense. Thank you.
Sure. I'd be happy to answer that. As our solicitor said, this mutual aid agreement doesn't obligate Penn Hills contractually to providing any set service. What this allows is for us to continue to do what we've always done. As Craig mentioned, it's not unusual in this region for departments to back one another up. The only thing that this is doing is, this is already in place for all of the eastern communities, but because Verona is not in our COG, they weren't a party to a mutual aid agreement. It's because of the fact that we're already assisting in certain cases that there should be some writing to go with it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we automatically go. It's still a determination. They have to ask for aid. We have to render the aid. So, at least to the first part of your question, I think that the second part of your question is really I don't know that it furthers it or not. It's not the purpose of it. The purpose of this mutual aid agreement isn't to further advance any kind of regionalization per se. It's just allowing us to have some writing that when we do render aid, that there's some document that protects the municipality and the borough as well, that says what the responsibilities are, what the financial responsibilities are.
Any further comment from the public? Any comment from council?
Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I have a couple questions and a statement. So I realize that it is a professional courtesy to assist our neighboring communities in the event of a crisis or a horrific situation where they don't have the manpower. However, I do have a question about accident and injury to our officers. So where does that fall?
Under the agreement, if we send an officer, and this is true throughout all of the mutual aid agreements that exist that I've seen, we are responsible for workers' comp, insurances for that officer, and if the officer is injured, that is our liability as our officer. It's not on that liability does not accrue to the requesting department. It goes to the sender. So that is our responsibility.
Okay, so just for my clarification, in the event Penn Hills had a situation and we needed assistance from Monroeville, if a Monroeville officer was hurt here in Penn Hills, it would not be our responsibility?
That's correct.
It would go back to Monroeville?
That's correct. And
Okay.
that's consistent with fire protection also. When you see, different fire companies coming to different fires because of the intensity of the blaze or anything else, the municipality pays that workers' compensation. And if somebody's injured, say if a Penn Hills firefighter is injured fighting a fire in Wilkinsburg or Monroeville or Verona or wherever, our workers' comp would be on the hook for that, not the location of the fire.
Okay.
And the same with police.
All right, thank you for that. And then I do have one further question. Can we have a clearer definition of aid and assistance? They kind of sound similar, but we put the and in conjunction.
I think they're the exact same thing.
I thought it was interchangeable, but that and changes it, so. So just to be clear, can we,
In the document itself, it says that the provisions may be invoked for any law enforcement situation that occurs in the receiving jurisdiction. So it's very broad in terms of what it would cover. It's going to be able to cover any law enforcement activity. So if the borough or, as I said, the municipality, Penn Hills, could also ask for aid under the agreement too, because it is mutual. It covers all of that. In terms of what the aid is, it's defined as the provision of manpower and logistical support needed by a receiving department.
She just
So-
wanted to know, the deputy mayor just wanted to know if there's a difference between aid and assistance, and it's just lawyers adding extra words that aren't necessary.
yeah, so I think we should, for the verbiage, I think we should take the word and out. You know I'm a stickler on those words because they can change things in the court of law. Okay, and I'm all excited about, helping our neighboring community out. We love Verona. They are our great friendly neighbors, so I didn't want to seem like I was against it, but I wanted to make sure that Penn Hills, our municipality, was certainly covered first. Thank you.
Any further comment from council?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Caresses.
Just very quickly, I did have a chance to talk to two of the Verona Council people. Likewise, they're very appreciative. They gave a prime example. We know they've been short-staffed recently, and if there's a bad car accident where somebody's life, could be in the hands of response time, they can't wait an hour for the state police to potentially show up. So once again, they're very appreciative, and I definitely fully support this resolution.
Councilman Caresses is absolutely right. This is another item that's on the agenda that really is a matter of life and death. This is really nothing new. This is just clarifying it. You might recall when Brackenridge and McKeesport needed help, we sent our officers out. I got a call from the mayor of Verona, and then we also talked with the mayor of Oakmont. They like you would do to any neighbor. You're there to help. When Plum had their explosion, immediately, right away, I was on the phone. We sent out our EMS, our firefighters, our police, anything that our neighbor needed. And that's the thing. We are interconnected here. The whole eastern corridor is interconnected. We're neighbors, but, you know, it's not like there's a fence between us. And here's the reality: if you don't want to do it because it's the right thing to do, look at it this way. Penn Hills is not, and I say this all the time, we're not like Monroeville, we're not like Lawrenceville. Our tax base is our residents. That's it. So we need to fill every home. And I just think that it's more likely that young people are more likely to move into Verona. And then once they come to the east, like many of us have, we say, this is a really cool place to live. And then when they decide to go to a bigger home, then they're going to come to Penn Hills. So Verona is theoretically one of our major feeders. But if I'm a young person looking for a place and there's no police presence and, you know, we end up like East McKeesport or whatever, they're probably not going to, that's going to be a major consideration. One of the things that you're looking for is public safety. So I think it is the absolute right thing to do. It's something that we're doing anyway. We offer mutual aid with EMS. We help our neighbors with fire protection. And who knows, Mr. Mouch, you pointed it, maybe eventually we will become one. But right now, it's just the right thing to do because this entire eastern corridor is connected. Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilor Fascio,
Yes.
Councilman Waldron,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Crestis,
Yes.
Resolution 3 approved.
May I get a motion for item, I'm sorry, I think you said resolution, I'm sorry.
Resolution 3 was approved?
Okay. Okay, may I get a motion for item 6D?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 6D to approve resolution number 2024-4, ratifying emergency repairs at Plum Creek Sewer Treatment Plant.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment?
Felix Catlin, 223 Detour Drive. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like this is about the third time in the last 12 months we've had repairs to this facility. True or false?
Very possible.
I know there's been a lot, but it escapes me if it's been exactly the same ceiling. I know we're here in this room with all of the facilities, but I don't know that it's. Yeah.
Yes, there have been repairs at this facility, and in this particular case, what ended up happening was the concrete appeared sound. So the test for whether the concrete should be restored or not is based on its appearance. So if the concrete starts to fail, if it's cracked, if it's leaking, if it's missing, then they'll go in and sound with a hammer to find solid concrete, cut out the soft concrete and replace it with a spall repair, which is new concrete. In areas where there is no signs of failing concrete, there's no sounding. This happened to be a place in one of the tunnels that just collapsed. No indications of it. And even during all the construction, nothing happened. So when the contractor demobilized, all of a sudden, a piece of this concrete, where it is in a walking space, it's also in an area where there are some expensive pumps. So the Water Pollution Control Director saw the urgency and asked to get emergency bids, which we were able to get 3 bids, and the cost that was spent was from the lowest cost bidder. And I'll say too that there was added expense because in this particular location there was lead paint on the concrete that had to be disposed of properly and handled properly.
Thank you for the detail.
You're welcome.
Any further public comment? Any comment from council?
Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to ask the engineer if he can give us the cost of that. Do we have a projected cost for that?
Yes. So there were 3 bidders, and the low bid was without lead. At the time, we bid this because we didn't have the results back from the lead paint, so we bid it with if the concrete was painted with lead paint or not lead paint. So we had two bids. Two of the bidders of the three responded for the paint, the lead being negative in the paint. The high bid was $124,900, and the low bid was $76,657. CPS Construction was the name of the company. Now, in this case, the alternate bid was if it did test positive for lead, the original contractor who gave us the $124,000 for no lead did not bid on the second contract, and the contractor who gave us the $76,000 bid gave us a $99,628 bid. So even still much cheaper than the contractor who did not include the disposal and handling of the lead paint in their original price. So with that, it's we deemed to be a fair price. We had costs recently of the construction of the small repairs and adding the additional cost to handle the lead paint and then to dispose of it seemed fair, and that was our only bid in an emergency situation for the lead paint.
That actually came in as a savings then. Thank you.
Yes, it still did, yes.
Any further comment from council? Roll call, please.
Counselor Fascio,
Yes.
Councilman Waldron,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Resolution 4 approved.
So as we move to item 6F, so we've reached our first glitch. It's our first official meeting together, and we kind of have our first glitch, I think. I think some of the council members didn't realize what the process is. So we were to vote on this on January 2nd, and then we held it off until this meeting to give members more time to take a look at the proposals and so forth. They're just not ready to move forward. So what we're going to do is we will table this right now, and then we will have a special meeting on this to give some members the opportunity to get up to speed, so to speak. May I get a motion to table item? Is that the proper procedures?
It is.
Thank you. May I get a motion to table item 6F, please?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table item 6F, approving the resolution of 2024-5 to appoint Thomas Gibson Engineers as engineers for Community Development Block Grant Program, as well as the municipal engineer.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
There is no
Roll-
discussion on a motion to table.
Okay, roll call, please.
On the motion to table, Councilman Waldron,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Yes.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Counselor Fascio.
Yes.
Okay, motion tabled.
Deputy Mayor, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mayor, I do. I want to start off with first just bringing it to the attention of Mayor and Council and to our engineer and to our business manager once again that the pavement on Verona Road, right outside of the Fireman's Club, that pavement is continuously caving in. I know that they did some moving around. They try to reposition the big barriers, but as they reposition those barriers, the weight, the ground cannot handle that weight, and it's just making it worse. And it's turning into a health and community safety issue. That is a heavily traveled road, and I really would love if someone could give us an update on an assessment of that as soon as possible before we have some type of tragic accident. You know, that won't be the first sinkhole in Penn Hill, so if we can do something to prevent that, I'd greatly appreciate that. And there's also 3 daycare centers on that road as well. so there are parents and, you know, traveling that road with their infants every day. So we don't want to have something as horrific as a sinkhole on that road. So that's one. And number two, I didn't get the opportunity to make a public statement as we did our reorganization on January 2nd. And I just want to say thank you to Mayor and Council for appointing me back to Deputy Mayor. I love working with this council. I look forward to working with our new council members. Welcome to council. And Mayor, thank you for trusting me to be your deputy once again. And I enjoy serving Penn Hills, so thank you, Penn Hills, as well.
Councilor Fascio, any comment?
No comments, thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Waldron.
I do. I just wanted to say that I am deeply honored and excited to serve as your new councilman. My wife, Melissa, and I, we moved to Penn Hills 20 years ago with a 5-year plan to leave. Apparently, Penn Hills had other plans for us. But over those years, we've had some meaningful and memorable roles within the Penn Hills Community Development Corporation. We have many fond memories of our time at the Penn Hills Community Garden. And Melissa even spent 4 years with Parks and Recreation, where she each year put in endless hours as a volunteer to plan events like our Summerfest, Autumn in the Hills, and even put on a summer concert series. And I may be biased, but I think those were some of our best events. But if you would have told me 20 years ago that I would have been a councilman, I would have thought you were crazy. But this place has a way of endearing itself to you if you let it. And, you know, I call Penn Hills home now. I'm committed to working with everyone here to ensure its growth and prosperity. I'm truly grateful for the trust you've all placed in me, and I thank you for this incredible privilege. Thanks.
Councilman Carestas.
Yes, ma'am. I don't think I'll be nearly as eloquent as Alan was at the end of the row there, but I do want to give you a heartfelt thank you for electing me. You may have noticed I've run to be in this position a couple of times in the past, so the fact that you're giving me the opportunity to help lead the next 4 years, you know, the public will be at the top of my mind always in this position. I do want to take a moment to, first of all, congratulate Khalil Darden. You may have read in the Penn Hills Progress that he just had a groundbreaking at the former Lincoln Park Community Center, which was run by Joyce Davis for many years, very successfully. He is transforming it into the DREA Thomas Community Center. Khalil's a very charismatic man. He's a 22-year-old who has a vision for that building, and I hope we can support him. He already has support from the Heinz Endowment and the Pittsburgh Foundation, which, having been the president of a nonprofit, I'll tell you, it's not easy getting grant support from those foundations when you're outside the city. So I just want to wish him the best of luck with his future endeavor there. Likewise, I also want to wish luck to ARPA, the Allegheny River Boulevard Preservation Association. That one's a bit of a long one. But they've been working their butts off trying to get a state match funding for their project on Allegheny River Boulevard. And my understanding is they're getting very close. So guys, I see Betty Arndt in the back. I see Rick Duncan. Keep it up. I know you're going to hit your goal. And now I'll just very quickly shift to my community calendar portion of my update. Penn Hills CDC General Meeting is tomorrow. It's at the Hebron Community Center at 7 p.m. Try to make it if you can. If you don't want to go to that meeting, I did learn that Verona Borough is holding a talk with the Pennsylvania DECD tomorrow around police regionalization. That's a topic that I don't believe is going to go away anytime soon. If you want to check that out, be at the Borough Building down there at 7 p.m. And then finally, the Rotary's having their bingo February 3rd. Doors open at 5:45 at the Universal Fire Banquet Hall over there on Main Street. So I want to wish them the best luck in their fundraiser as well. Thank you.
I just want to say, absolutely, Deputy Mayor, with complete confidence, we are so glad to have you in that position. And I'd like to say, Councilor Fascio, good to be back again with you. And to our new councilmen, Mr. Waldron and Mr. Carestas, welcome aboard. Looking forward to working with you very much. Having said that, if everybody from council could meet back in the conference room at the end of this, that would be great. And this meeting, have a very good evening, everyone, and this meeting is adjourned.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? How are you?
I'm gonna try.
I'm always working.